Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Freshly Pressed. Today, we have with us Mark Romero, the founder of Addictor Media and creator of Incident Report. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's great having you here, and let's get into a bit of your history and how you got interested in comics in the first place. What are the things that you loved growing up?
Well, I think my first comic was probably Spider-Man. I had gotten, we are from Florida, so like we went to Orlando somewhat frequently when we visited Islands of Adventure, and they had in the Marvel section this like really thick like essentials book that had like, I don't know, the first like 25 to 50 like issues omnibus of like the original Spider-Man series. So I read through like two of those, and I think that was like my first introduction into comic books. So Spider-Man has always been kind of like my favorite hero, and like he was also like the first comic book I ever read. So that's kind of where I got started. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Awesome. So, how did you get into writing comics? Were you interested in writing all along?
So I've always been a tabletop gamer. So like me and my friends always played like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. And I actually got into Dungeons and Dragons in a strange place. I went to a martial arts studio near when I was a kid, and the sensei in charge of the martial arts studio was actually a really big like D&D nerd. And so he actually like one day when we had like a summer camp, um, two of the like older kids had brought in like a D&D book, and they were trying to like learn how to play D&D. And he came up, he was like, "Oh, I used to play this, I know how to play." And he ran that weekend like a D&D game for all the kids that were at the summer camp. And that
That's
was
awesome.
really fun. And then I started introducing like my friends to it, and like we played all throughout high school, and basically so like always been into like storytelling, and like I really like especially like interactive storytelling where like it's not just one person telling the story but like a group of people telling the story. And um I think comics after that just kind of you know, especially with like watching the MCU stuff and like Batman the animated series and like Static Shock, like superheroes and like comic books was always around. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
you know, we had played a game called Champions in college for a long time, and that's where a lot of the characters from Incident Report kind of spawned from that game, um,
Mm,
and was played by our other co-founder Mary. And we just after the game ended and stuff, we kind of wanted to revisit, and so like we made this world around the characters and things like that. And yeah, it was just kind of a rolling. I don't think it was any one instance, but we were always kind of into telling stories with each other as friends, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's amazing. And have you been watching Batman the animated series again after it dropped on Netflix recently?
I didn't know that it dropped on Netflix again, but I will now watch it. We actually have the uh most of the series we have in like DVD sets actually. I have no idea where we have a DVD player anymore, but we do have like the DVD sets, and we got it maybe like I don't know 5 plus years ago, and we go back and watch a couple of episodes every now and then. You know, it
Nice.
still holds up, you know, which is
Still holds
awesome.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the episodes are like so dark. Like I was like, did I understand these as a kid? you
Oh
know?
yeah. I learned, and you learned this from the DVDs because they talk about it. Not only were the episodes sometimes dark in like emotion, but they were all also dark because apparently they did all of the like animation films, reels or whatever, they did it on
Mm.
like dark paper instead of like traditional like light paper, and that's why it's so dark when you watch it because it's like a black backdrop that they're using. That was really cool to learn from the
Yeah,
DVDs.
yeah, and the art's fantastic. It's still stunning. Like it's beautifully done, and the style is like they stick to that 50s aesthetic, uh, and the whole mobster thing
And the like
as well.
quasi steampunk ish with like they have like the Zeppelin police things. Yeah, that was always my vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And going with the times, I was like rewatching this episode about there's a computer that starts creating duplicates of of all the like Commissioner Gordon and things like that. Yeah, and it's about artificial intelligence and like how a sentient AI would start looking at human beings and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, like way ahead of its time too, right?
I know exactly.
Yeah. The other big one that we used to watch a lot was Batman Beyond, which I think out of the two, Batman Beyond was actually my favorite because I
Yeah,
liked seeing old Bruce Wayne, and I don't know, I really loved Terry McGinnis, and I thought he was always really cool.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, absolutely. It was very. I think it at that point. I think it's early '90s. It was a good time for. Not a good time for science fiction movies because obviously we had most of the good science fiction movies in the past decade, at least the action ones, and
yeah.
we started having Jurassic Parks and Total Recall and those kind of movies now. But it was like the era that was I think ending, and we were starting with another like fresh slate of science fiction movies. But like that Batman Beyond, the whole futuristic look of it, and all the stuff that they were doing with it was so cutting edge and so nice. Like even with art and everything.
Oh yeah, I really love the art of the series and like the way they just organize the future. I think like my favorite episode of Batman Beyond, I think it was Batman Beyond. There's a scene where like uh Bruce Wayne is like trapped somewhere and like Terry has to go and find him and save him. Maybe this happened in BTAS, I'm not just remembering it wrong. But like there's like this voice that's like he's like in like a small like room basically and he's trapped and he has this voice like talking to him like Bruce, you need to do this, or like Bruce, blah blah blah, like Bruce, blah blah blah. And then when Terry eventually saves him, Terry's like, "How did you not like go crazy or like think you were going crazy?" And he's like, "I don't call myself Bruce in my head." And it's like, "Oh, that's awesome." He's Batman all the time. He's Batman first.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing. So yeah,
yeah.
you were talking about your writing. Yeah,
Oh yeah. I mean, like I think I was talking about like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. And have you ever played,
yeah.
by the way?
No, I haven't played myself. No.
You should try.
Okay,
We can try. If you want to try online, I will DM a game for you online, and you can give it a shot.
for
It'll be
sure.
fun. But yeah, that's kind of the storytelling gig for me. Was starting in D&D. You know, telling stories with your friends and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I see that a lot as well. I see a lot of creators come from that, from playing background of playing Dungeons and Dragons, and also I interviewed somebody um, who does story writing using role playing.
Oh,
So
really?
they have like a writing partner, and both of them take each character in the comic, and they write. Uh, they do a role play, and they write each character's stories, like their side of the story, and that's how they write the whole series. Like they wrote like 40 issues of
Oh wow,
their comic.
that, that's actually really cool. I'd be interested in reading that series because it's such a good way to do writing in the sense that like you come up with just some like fun stuff that like you don't. I don't think it's stuff you wouldn't probably come up with just like sitting in a chair and writing, but like really like doing the role play like really fosters just like crazy shit sometimes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. their handle is called Worthy Chaos Comics. They have a series called Redemption. Yeah, pretty cool.
Oh,
Pretty
I
cool
really do
stories
love
as
the
well.
arc on it.
Yeah, yeah. They have. I think their pitch is it's a mix of Buffy and Resident Evil and a few other like that kind of horror fantasy
Yeah.
kind of element. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Tell us a bit about Incident Report, issue three, and what's the story arc like, and give us a bit of your story without spoiling it. I would say,
Yeah, I'll
or
try
giving
my
without
best.
too much details.
We started doing cons locally recently, and I've been trying to perfect the pitch of Instant Report, but I'm still not quite there. But it's funny because at like a con, you get like all sorts of people. You get the person that's like, give me as many details as possible, and the one person that's like, don't tell me anything about this comic, but make me want to
Yeah,
buy. I was like, okay.
yeah, yeah. It is actually funny because like when I was just telling you before the call as well, right? When I was at that place when I was trying to sell people these books, they were talking to me about, okay, what's this about? And then I would go and tell them a little bit about the story, and they're like, yeah, but with Spider-Man, with buying a new issue of Spider-Man, I actually already know Spider-Man, and
Right.
I don't know any of these characters. I was like, yeah, but that's the point. That's the fun of reading an indie comic, right? Like you
Yeah.
get to know these new characters, their story, and that's it's like reading a novel. When you pick up a novel, you actually don't know who those characters are.
100%.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
nobody knew who the Game of Thrones characters until they read the first book, right? Like,
exactly,
or saw the first
exactly,
episode, whichever way they started. Like, yeah. I
exactly.
wish more people were, I guess, interested in that initial like experimentation. But I can understand. It's hard to get into something because like you don't want to like waste your time investing in something that were like it's just going to be like mediocre and Spider-Man is safe. You know what Spider-Man's going to be, you know?
I mean, there are so many mediocre Spider-Man stories.
That's also true. That is also true. Good point. Uh,
But yeah.
Incident report is basically we've been describing it as like the X-Men if the Mutant Registration Act went well and worked out happily for everybody. So there's no masks in our setting. There's no like mass vigilantism or anything. The people with powers don't necessarily have to fight crime or anything. In some ways, it's very similar to My Hero Academia, if you're familiar with the anime. Some people just fly to the office, and that's how they use their flying power. And other people become what they're effectively police officers. We call them ICA agents, but there's also we also have like regular police officers that aren't ICA agents, but like
Mm,
that is our kind of goal. Like there's an organization that basically polices people with powers and provides support to like police officers, but like the organization's very large, so like it's not just about like law enforcement, and it's just not about like the action. We try to pump as much action into the comics as we can to make them more fun, but like our main character is actually a social worker. Her the In the first issue, the thing that she does is like she's going to a family and trying to teach them like ways that like they can handle their toddler being able to fly, and I think that what we're trying to do with incident report is really kind of explore how superpowers would impact life, like reality basically, and like how
mm,
society would kind of develop around them. But we also wanted to do like a more positive take because I feel like we've seen in media like a lot of negative takes. Like the Mutant
mm.
Registration Act is a very negative take. Like it's like worst possible scenario, and we wanted to sort of go from the other. I described it to uh, Mary and Brian, who are my co-creators, as like we're doing like superheroes, but with like a Star Trek vibe. It's very like hopeful, very like the government is working, and things are generally positive outlook, and that's kind of what we're
Mm,
hoping for Incident Report.
that's amazing, and it surely comes off that way. And exactly what you said. You took a positive approach to building this world around superpowers and regular people having them. So uh, kudos to you. It's like the first issue is so beautifully structured in the sense that it doesn't like the exposition is done in a beautiful way. You're going through the world, you're seeing everything around, you see how it's how the daily life is, and you see this person go around, do their daily spiel, and
Yeah.
it's I don't know, I it was flawless. It's really
Thank
well
you. I
done.
really appreciate that. That's so awesome. That's great. I wow. Thank you.
It's also, I think I know, I hope I'm not spoiling it too much, the whole like buddy cop thing that it introduces in the middle of issue one, and then that the characters love to play off each other. um
So that's a funny story. The buddy cop thing was a complete accident. Like 100% complete accident, because I wrote the first issue, and then we had Ryan Best, our artist, he's really great, and the art is beautiful. He illustrated the whole issue, and then we got like, okay, we're getting ready for the Kickstarter. We need a cover, so we had Ryan do a cover, and he came up with this cover with like Anne and Vlad, and they're kind of standing. I was like, oh my god, are we writing a buddy cop show? Like, is that what this is? I had no idea. I did not realize at all. Um, but now that I realize, I kind of want to lean into it.
yeah,
Well, I think I'm excited for. I won't spoil anything, but I'm excited to explore the like buddy cop thing in the
yeah.
next like 2 or 3 issues that we have coming out after this too.
No, that's amazing. I also like that. Like Vlad is very. I would say he's not the stereotypical Russian that you usually see in the media, and he's shown as like a compassionate, a genuinely nice person. Like he's little rougher on the edges, but he's like a generally kind human being in the end,
He's a fun
kind
guy,
man.
and actually, it's kind of funny because I have a lot of my day job. I have a lot of Russian coworkers, and they were asking me one time about the book, and they're like, "Oh, you have a Russian character, and he's not evil. That's great." I was like, "Wow, you guys have been hurt." Like, there are tons of evil Russians in American media. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It felt like reverse red heat.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. Sorry, you were saying something.
No, no, yeah. Vlad is just he's fun to write. He's a little quirky. I like the way that he uh comes off, especially in Instant Report 3, because you get to see how he interacts with Anne's sister, who's a teenager, and I think he has a good kind of rapport building with her in this issue, and it's fun to see. And then, like, my plan is for issue 4 to kind of like delve into like where Vlad came from. Every issue so far has been about one of the like main characters. So, like, issue 1 was primarily about Anne. Issue 2 was kind of about um, I guess issue 2 was kind of about just like what Kenji was doing, and then issue
Mm,
3 delves into what Kenji was doing before he went undercover. So I'm hoping to like kind of do the heroes thing where they do like kind of origin stories for every character, and then kind of hopefully tie it up in the end. We'll see if I can pull it off. um,
nice. No, I'm hopeful because I love both the issues so far. So pretty excited for issue three actually.
thank you.
Tell us a bit about issue three without spoiling it.
Without spoiling issue 3, issue 3, and I'm gonna say issue 4 as well because I'm mostly done writing issue 4 as well. This is like issue 1 and 2 were primarily set up. Issue 3 like is when shit starts to hit the fan. So like it's becomes a lot more, I think, fast paced than the other two issues were. There's a lot more action in the starting in like the middle of issue 3 towards the end. It just like goes really fast. Um, and I'm excited about that because Ryan does a really great job like illustrating like fights and stuff, and he really does a great job with this. And the colors and stuff that Javi does, like we used it as our cover like image on the Kickstarter. Like if you scroll up, we have like the fire in the background and the like. The fire extinguisher, and it just looks really cool to me, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
excited the way that it
absolutely.
turned out.
Yeah. No, it's really cool, and it's also like you can see the action. Like you're right in the middle of the action. You get that feel as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the rewards and
So the rewards
goals and
kind of
rewards.
go back to what we were talking about with like how we kind of got started. Like me and my co-creators, we started with D&D, so like role play is a big like heavy influence. So like we have like our normal rewards, we have like the book and the variant covers, but what we're doing is that everybody who backs basically gets like a letter, and the letter is from Deputy Director Carver, basically saying like, "Welcome, agent. Like you're going to begin your training into the ICA, and we're going to be sending like information about like what the ICA is and like the inductees and like for people that are able to back at the higher levels, we're actually printing like real ID cards. And we did this a little bit on the first issue, but we're making them more ICA specific. So like you can send us your image or whatever image you want on the card, and like we'll print an ID card that shows you like you are an ICA agent now, and you get like a
Mm,
letter from Carver saying like welcome to the ICA, and we actually give people a case file, and it's their first case file. So like we have two case files, and they're both being written by full-time game masters. One is being written by Friday Strout, and the other VJ Harris, and they're basically one is like a murder mystery kind of box. It's going to be like filled with like a bunch of like random stuff, and you kind of have to read through it and you solve a murder mystery. And the other one is a choose your own adventure story because we wanted like if you're going to be an agent, you got to solve a case. Like so that's what we were kind of going with the rewards there.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, that is so cool. So,
I'm really
wow,
hoping we can get people like really intrigued in like
yeah,
doing it because I'd like to be able to like the comic production takes a while, especially like for indie publishers. I feel like sometimes where, but I want to be able to like engage everybody in the story kind of in the in between times and like, sprinkle like fun stuff towards people like, different missions you get in the ICA that like, just gets people interested and involved and like immersed into the story and like the world itself, you know?
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And I think this is very unique because I feel as indie creators, when you obviously produce issue one and issue two, there's obviously a big gap between the two, and people are waiting during that period if they're
Yeah.
they're fans of the earlier issues, and if you add something like that, it will give them a way to be part of that world for much longer, and
Yeah.
understand that world, and when they come back for issue four, they're still loving it, they're still part of it. So
Absolutely. A- and for me, like personally, like I like giving people reasons to get more interested into role playing and like tabletop gaming, and I feel like this is a good way to like for people that might not have experienced it's sort of like a small like step foot in the water kind of thing where like they can kind of test how they feel about the immersive environment and see if they like it or not. I I like my favorite people to play with when we're doing tabletop is like new players and like getting them involved and interested in the first time. We
mm,
actually did a tabletop game with my mother maybe like a year ago, My mother was like very anti D&D. She was like very like ultra like kind of like Catholic or D&D satanic panic. She thought it was like a devil's game. Finally convinced my mother to play and to she had a blast. And we got my mother to play and my father to play. And to my uh somewhat problematic. My mother is the player that like hits on all of the NPCs, which was awkward, but she had a good time with it. She was singing songs and stuff because she was playing a bard and a musical character.
Yeah.
And my dad was enjoying playing a thief, and it was just I think just like the role play aspect is like something that people are nervous about for a long time, but like
Mm,
once you break down the barriers and make it more comfortable, make role playing a little bit more comfortable for people, I think a lot more people would like dive into it. And I think
mm.
it's a fun and unique form of expression, I feel like. And I
Ah,
like
definitely.
more people to be able to, experience it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think lot it's such a popular thing worldwide. So I'm pretty sure it resonates with thousands of people all over the world, and that's probably why it's that popular.
Oh yeah, all my like statues and figurines are all from like Critical Role. Like I've watched. If you think it's a 4 hour show, but I love watching it. When I get the
Yeah,
chance to, and I collect what I can. um,
that's amazing.
yeah,
Was there a show on Amazon Prime?
yeah. They
Uh,
released Legend of Vox Machina on at Amazon Prime.
yes, Legend of Vox
Yes.
Machina. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you
I
seen
have
it?
no idea, but I love the show. I have no idea about the lore behind it, but I absolutely love the show.
The show is an easy way to get in if you don't want to watch a 4 hour show, but the 4 hour like actual tabletop game is really fun. I mean, I feel like I don't know if this is true, but they're definitely the largest like live play out there, and I think they kind of like started the live plays, or if they weren't the first live play, they were definitely like the first one to get really popular. And it's a great show, and like you probably have experience with the people on the show because they're all voice actors.
Mm.
And I think they did like Travis did the voice of Thor in the like Marvel Avengers game, and I think his
Ah,
wife Laura did Black Widow. I think I'm not 100% sure, but they're also really big voice actors, so you probably like know some
mm.
of their work.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice. No, I think I have to get into that someday because I'm definitely interested.
you
Uh,
should.
yeah. It's definitely something up my alley because I love storytelling myself and
Have you
you
ever
know
done any writing and stuff, or do you do any
yeah
writing
yeah
on the
yeah
side? Oh, that's awesome.
I wrote a couple of stories in an anthology a couple of years ago in a comic. I've written a few short stories that have been published in a few science fiction magazines in the
Yeah.
US. I've
Oh,
written
that's
a full
awesome.
book. That's what that was published. It's not no, it was non-fiction. It's all in tech industry, but but I I'm interested in writing a lot.
Yeah. Hey,
I have
primarily
been
like
writing.
science fiction is your go-to.
Yes, that's my go-to. The one that I've been writing more like seriously as a comic book recently
Hmm.
is I think I've written like three issues already, but it's like a six-issue arc.
Hmm.
But I'm split whether to make it like a six-issue arc or like a good like 120-page graphic novel.
Oh yeah.
uh, yeah, so I don't know what will work better, but one of those. So it is like it's kind of like a science fiction slash fantasy if you think about it. It
Yeah.
delves a little bit into fantasy because kind of like Valerium in one sense that it has a lot of different kinds of creative aliens and a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
different kinds of creative species that way. So it's the core idea is there's this planet which is like a zoo
Okay.
where where humans have kept aliens inside in a zoo. So you actually go travel to that planet to actually look at aliens in cages.
Oh,
And
this sounds like something's going to go very wrong at this zoo.
yeah, exactly. And these aliens are actually secretly planning a heist, and it's basically escape from prison, but it's told from the perspective of the aliens who are like it's kind of like Escape from New York, but from
Yeah, yeah. No,
from
that sounds like a lot
aliens.
of fun, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of like different kinds of heist, escape kind of story, mixed with science fiction elements, where
And
humans are the villains. Yeah,
yeah, and you can probably play around with like all the different alien species and what they can do, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's neat.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I've been having fun writing that. I like. It's been very self-indulgent because I've been writing that for like a good part of 2 years or 3 years now. So I do want to
That's how
make
it
it
goes.
more.
I feel like in the indie space.
Yeah, very true. And other things get in the way because I started the website, and that now takes a huge part of my time. Podcast now takes a huge part of my time as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
But the website's been cool, and I think it's I'm really exciting what you're doing with connecting publishers with like printers in Australia because I the shipping costs are exorbitant, and I feel bad for just like international backers in general sometimes, but like Australia has it particularly bad. And it's cool to be
yeah.
able to like print in Australia and to be able to like ship to people, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I want to do that for Canada, Australia, and like even for people in Australia, right? If they want to send, like create to send books to the US, right? It's even the other way around is actually quite true. It's hard to print and send books from here,
Yeah,
despite everything.
I feel like this is something that like is a problem with like indie comics specifically too, because like I imagine like Marvel, DC, like they have printers everywhere, so like shipping is easy and the books can be normally priced in every region, but like indie comics, like you usually
Yeah,
print where you happen to be, and it'd be cool to have like real like regional printing, I should say, and like
yeah,
being able to get the comics to people for like less than 20, 30 bucks, you know.
yeah. I recently learned, and this I had a chat with the printer that I've worked with, and they were saying that Marvel and bunch of other, I think sometimes DC as well. They use printers that are like based in the region, but
Mhm.
not specifically based in the country. So
Oh.
Marvel's printers are either in like they're printed in either China or maybe some other country,
Oh.
and then they ship it to like Asia and Australia and all the Asia Pacific region.
Hmm.
That's how like they have tons of advertisements. Like every DC comic you open has at least five snicker ads in it. So
Oh wow.
they have. Yeah, I have the whole like run of all the back issues for. I recently bought back issues for Green Lantern, like the whole DC Rebirth event. This was like last year, and every third page is like a Snickers ad where Superman's eating a Snicker bar.
That's really funny.
I mean, yeah, they get sponsorships, so
Yeah,
they can
yeah, yeah.
afford to do
It's just funny, Superman eating a Snickers bar. That just he, I feel bad because I haven't. I feel like I haven't read a lot of like Marvel and DC because I've been like doing the Kickstarter thing. So like I feel like most of like my comic discretionary funds are like going to Kickstarters, which is good, but I also feel a little disconnected from like what's happening in Marvel DC right now because I'm mostly reading indies now. Um,
it.
but apparently they're putting Snickers into Superman's mouth, so that's what they're doing.
Yeah. You're not missing out on much. No, I think it's the same for me. Like all my personal stuff is reading is like 99% indie stuff. Like
Yeah.
my daughter's now getting like she is so into comics, probably got from me. uh,
What
yeah,
kind of
so
comics does your daughter read actually? Like, what do you have her reading?
she is a huge fan of DC superhero girls. So she
Okay.
likes like this. So there's this run of DC comics. They have graphic novels where in Metropolis they have Wonder Woman, Batgirl,
I've
Green Lantern. Just
I've definitely seen this. Yeah. This
yeah,
is
all of them meet and they make their own like their own vigilante squad, and they're at high school, so it's like all like high school shenanigans mixed with superheroing and things like that. So it's
that's
it's
cool.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah, she likes to read that. She loves Green Lantern.
Oh,
She
yeah, yeah.
absolutely loves Green Lantern, and I don't know, she loves because Jessica Cruz is a more recent Green Lantern, and she's a Latina. She's also, there was no girl Green Lantern for a long time, so she
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of relates to that. Yeah, so
My wife
uh,
recently read some of the Jessica Cruz stuff recently. I think it was, well, maybe not recently, but she read it like a year or two ago, like maybe right around the time COVID, and it's really good. And I really like her as a Green Lantern. I think
yeah,
she fits like a good niche as well, where she's different from the other Green Lanterns, which is cool.
exactly. Yeah, so the DC Rebirth one that I was talking about introduces Jessica and Simon Baz, who's actually from who's a Middle Eastern Green Lantern, which
Yeah,
is like they both have a very different kind of backstory, and I think that's a good way also to introduce more diversity into comics, because Green Lantern is very
yeah, it can
anyone
be
can be Green
anybody.
Lantern, really. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
So
No, that's a really good point. There's nothing stopping anybody from being a Green Lantern, so it's a good way to introduce diversity for sure.
exactly. So she likes those. I don't know what else she has been reading. She likes a lot of Pokemon. So she has a whole bunch of Pokemon comics.
So Pokemon just keeps going. Like that's what I listened or watched as a kid, and it's still there. Like it's not going away.
Exactly, exactly. Now you know what? She's actually getting into Animal Crossing. She's not
Okay,
a.
yeah,
I'm not a gamer, so she's not a gamer. But
yeah,
she started reading. We got a comic from the free comic book day,
yeah.
um, and she loved it so much. We went ahead and bought the whole volume of Animal Crossing's manga.
I had
She
no idea it
absolutely
had a
loved it.
manga. I'm only familiar with the game, so that's interesting.
Yeah, they made it from the game, so it was like the manga came after the game.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but she loves it.
that's great.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
she's reading, she's enjoying it. That's awesome.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, she hasn't got into a lot of Marvel stuff just yet. A little bit of Spider Gwen, and
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, but not still not huge into that just yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the age old debate of Marvel versus DC. It sounds like she's leaning DC right now.
Yeah, I know, I know. Well, I got my start as an X-Men like fan, So
Okay,
my
yeah,
first ones were X-Men, and all the other like I used to love Ghost Rider. I still love Ghost Rider, by the way. Yeah,
Ghost
and I
Rider.
have this. Yeah,
The Oh, Ghost
you know
Rider.
the
I'm sorry. I know what Ghost Rider is, but when you said it, I thought the first thing that came to my head was Ghost Rider, which is the little like I don't know if you there was a show on like I think it might have been PBS in America, but it was about like a ghost that wrote things, and it was called Ghost Rider. And that's what I thought you said. I was like, what? Wait, what? Ghost Rider makes more sense. Okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, Ghost Rider, and I have this thing, and obviously X-Men from Wolverine, and I have been reading this whole Shadow Country thing lately. I don't know if you've read that. Shadow
Is
Country was like Ghost Rider and Wolverine.
Oh, no, no, I'm not familiar. No.
Mm. But yeah, and then I have this thing for uh, fire coming out of Skull. So I also love this character called Firestorm in DC, which is
Yeah.
pretty pretty similar in that sense. So yeah,
Are, are you excited for the new for X-Men 97 to come out? I don't know.
yes,
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 yeah.
I know.
I'm interested to see what they do and how they continue it on. I want to go back and watch the old one because it's been so many years.
I know, and that was like one of my favorite things growing up as well. Like just loved those original X-Men cartoons, right? Like just waited for that every weekend.
I'm worried that like I'm gonna go back and they're not gonna hold up. So like I want to go back and watch them before it comes out, but I'm also worried.
Yeah, that's true. That's a genuine worry for everything from the 80s and 90s.
I've heard that they hold up, so I'm hopeful at least.
Yeah,
So
nice, nice. The what are your favorite like? Let's get into the like top five pop culture things that you like. So let's get into that a little bit.
okay, top five pop culture things. So I think I mentioned earlier that Star Trek was also a big influence. So I think like Star Trek and Star Wars I've always really loved, and I think when I was little I really liked Star Wars a lot more, and then as I got older I started to like Star Trek a lot more. And I think partially because I I don't like recent Star Wars that much. I feel like I like the Star Wars cartoons more than I like the Star Wars movies at this moment. Um, but so Star Trek and Star Wars kind of on the same page. But I'm really big into uh, Brandon Sanderson, who writes the Cosmere novels like Mistborn and Stormlight Archives. Um, and he also has like he always has like really cool like magic systems in his settings that are like he has like magic with rules, which know that
Mm,
like to a lot of people magic with rules sounds lame, but like it's cool because like there's just like its own set of physics that's just like magical in each of his settings. And I really love how he crafts worlds, and he's done a lot of like talks, and he has actually like a lecture that he does
mm,
at university, and like you can watch his whole like writing class, and like that's really neat that he does that. um,
nice.
let's see. Uh, I would say BTOS probably. Um, also, although I think when I was growing up, my favorite series from like the DC like animated shows was actually Static Shock. Um, Static was my favorite. And I really wish they would do a lot more with Static. I'm waiting for a Static Shock movie. Like that's the movie that I'm really excited about. Um, but I don't know if I'm gonna get that with the DCU. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens with this next iteration. Um, I think that was three. I have two more. I tried to think about this a little bit before because I saw some of the other podcasts and you asked this question, and now I can't think of the other two.
That's all right. We have four.
Yeah.
And you said D&D and Critical Role. That
Oh,
probably
that
counts as pop
Critical Role
culture.
was the other one, actually. Thank you. um, yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned Star Wars cartoons, which like I'm a huge fan of Clone Wars, and I think that's the only only thing that's keeping me for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Anything in Star Wars at the moment. So
I really love like how Clone Wars somehow made the movies better. Like my wife and I had done a binge of Clone Wars, and then when we went back and watched like episode 2 and episode 3, we're like, this is so much better now. Like I understand so much more. I'm
exactly.
hoping I'm hoping that the movies and stuff with like the Mandalorian will do the same thing for episode 2 and 3 for like The Force Awakens and beyond, kind of, and like just enhance them a little bit more. We'll see.
We'll
Um,
see. I mean, Mandalorian does have like Dave Filoni's co-writing Mandalorian, so
yeah.
hopefully, and he's the one who led the writing on Clone Wars as well. Um,
Have you seen
so yeah.
any of Bad Batch yet?
No, I haven't seen Bad Batch yet. No,
It is really
I
fun. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but you should check it out if you like Clone Wars. You'll like it probably.
yeah, yeah. I think I kind of blocked Star Wars in my mind as a bad memory after like the most
Star
movie
Wars has
months
hurt
ago.
you.
After like I tried watching Obi-Wan, it was so bad. Like I just didn't like it at all. Like all the other stuff that's been coming out, I just like yeah, and I just gave up after a while.
I would
Yeah.
say I was kind of mediocre on Obi-Wan, but I did really like Andor a lot. I,
Mm,
you know,
mm.
I like Star Wars ironically a lot more when they're less Jedi focused lately. I feel like the best Star Wars have been in recent years, for me at least, has been like The Bad Batch and Rogue One and Andor have been like my favorites that have come out in the last like couple of years.
Yeah. What I did like, I remember the last thing I liked on Star Wars was this thing called Visions,
Oh
which
yeah,
is yeah, which I absolutely loved because everything had a different style, and there was something actually new that came out of Star Wars universe. So,
yeah, and all the styles are really cool and like neat. Yeah, that was a fun series that did. I heard that they're going to do a what if Star Wars. I don't know if that's
mm,
true or not, but I heard rumblings of it, and that would maybe be pretty neat, especially if they take like do like the art style shifts like they do in Vision. That would be neat.
that will be amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think like the good way to explore Star Wars is make more genre stories rather than like just keep moving on the Star Wars on the Skywalker family
Yeah,
tree.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I agree with that sentiment. I think like it's there's so much lore and history in Star Wars. Like I feel like there's just so much outside of just like the Jedi to kind of explore. And not that I don't love Jedi, they're awesome, but I think like I've had the most fun with like the non-Jedi stuff because I love the way that the world just works. Irrespective of the Jedi and the Force stuff, it's just really cool. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if you. I'm a big fan of Red Letter Media. I don't know if you are or not.
Red Letter
Uh,
Media. It sounds familiar, but it's not clicking for me right now.
they actually became popular from their review uh, of episode one of
Hmm.
the prequels, and so the whole thing was about this guy who's like so it's like a drunk serial killer who's like 100 years old. He's reviewing he's reviewing Star Wars movies while like sitting in his basement and eating pizza rolls.
Okay, hold on. So it's a 100-year-old drunk serial killer reviewing Star Wars. Is that
Yeah.
that's what it is?
Yeah. It's hilarious. It's brilliantly done. Yeah, you must search for Mr. Plinkett reviews
Mr.
Star
Blinkett?
Wars. Mr. Plinkett,
Plinkett, Plinkett.
Pli. Yeah, Plinkett. Yeah,
This is fun. And
yeah.
this is the role play element. That's really fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they have this they have this series called Best of the Worst, which is like they watch like really shitty movies,
Mhm.
and they select those movies in different ways. They have taped it on on a big board, and then they rotate it, and then whichever movie comes, they just have to watch it,
How,
and
how on a scale of like bad movies, how bad? Like, are we talking like really bad B movies, or like are we talking like
they're like bottom of the barrel movies,
Bottom of the
actually.
barrel.
They're just extremely bad.
There's a show that I like to watch that's it's called How Did This Get Made? It's like a podcast, and it's basically like they take a movie, a bad movie, and they talk about how that movie got made, and it's really fun. It has like
Nice.
Jason Mantzoukas in it, and he's really like loud and exciting and energetic. Um, it sounds similar in the sense that like it's focused on bad movies.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So they watch bad movies, they get really drunk, and then they talk about it. So
It sounds like a great time. Drunk is the best
yeah,
time to watch a bad movie, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Those are like some good ones. I used to listen to, like, there was this YouTuber who used to make similar stuff. Like his channel was called his show was called Good Bad Movies,
mhm.
and like he was like really passionate about movie making. What good bad films or good bad movies? I don't remember
Oh,
exactly.
I found a good bad flicks. Is this it?
Good Bad Flicks. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's really passionate about movies, and and like he goes back to, he tries to find good in these movies. Like he likes to talk about how people try to make a good movie, and what kind of derailed the whole thing, and
Y-
so
That's
yeah,
actually really cool, and that's kind of sweet because I feel like if I can't imagine like anyone goes into making a movie and purposefully making it bad, right? So it's cool that he takes like a bad movie and like this is the stuff that's good and charming about it. That sounds nice.
yeah.
Oh man. I you know, I Mary, my co-creator, really loves Batgirl, and I still think she's still salty that like, even though it was probably going to be a bad movie, she's still salty that they wrote off the Batgirl stuff.
I know, I know. I was devastated. I wanted to see Brandon Fraser as the villain, and yeah, uh,
Eh,
I was looking forward to that movie. Actually, Batgirl is actually a pretty good character.
oh,
I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
I don't like what they've done with her in some instances. Like, I thought the way that they portrayed her in the animated Killing Joke was a little bit off.
nah,
I feel
that was
like,
pretty
but
off.
yeah, but I love I she's gonna be mad at me because I'm not remembering this, but I really love the like Batgirl that has like she doesn't have like a she has like a purple suit and she has like the yellow belt and she looks not like polished. She looks kind of
Yeah,
like I really love that style of Batgirl as well. I don't remember who did the run. um, I'm trying to look for it. Uh,
yeah.
who is it?
You
Cameron
must
Stewart and
definitely check
Babstar.
out the what's the one? What's it called?
It's Cameron Stewart's run, the one Babs Tarr illustrated. I really love that style of suit on that one.
Cool. I love that suit as well. Um, the earlier I was talking about my daughter liking DC superhero girls, and one
Yeah,
of the reasons why she likes it is because Batgirl's character is so fantastically written in that. She's like, she's the one who brings the whole group together. She's very lively, and she's always like, she's a fast talking, quippy person.
yeah, yeah, that's fun.
Um, yeah.
She is she the team lead basically, or
No, no. Wonder Woman is the team lead. She's like the natural leader who comes in, but
okay?
she's the one who actually finds everyone, tells everyone, "Yeah, we are friends. We have to come together," and things like that. And then, yeah, she's that kind of person, like, who's always positive and hopeful, and she works at a place called Burrito Bucket, and she always loves burritos.
That's so funny.
Yeah, she eats ice cream for breakfast, and things like that. So it's
I mean, any kid can get behind ice cream for breakfast. I feel like
exactly. Yeah, so that's why, like, the Batgirl in that, like, is written so well, and she's just the liveliest of the group, and yeah. That's why I feel like it can be explored in so many good ways, and not just like a surrogate character of Batman. Like that, I hate it when writers do that. Like when Batgirl is written like a surrogate character. She's not. She's like she has her own like individuality and things like that in a certain
And she's
way.
got her own like set of like, I mean, familial problems to explore with like her dad being the commissioner and stuff. Like that's fun. That's interesting. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you're absolutely right. I feel.
Awesome. Cool. We're coming close to time, but before we leave,
Okay.
but yeah,
So you want me to do a second quick pitch of incident report again?
yes, absolutely.
All right. Hold on. Let me think. Thinking. Um, so, uh, incident report is a fun comic about the uh, way that superpowers interact with the everyday lives of everyday people and how society works around them. Um, and it is in a place where superheroes don't wear masks and how the world is affected by that. And if you like stories about uh, people and the effects of like magic or superpowers on like family life and you like action, you'll probably like Incident Report.
That's a very good way to put it, and I'll add a little bit to that. So the stories, both the stories, at least issues 1 and 2, I've read. I have to read issue 3, but I have really good hope on that because the stories are very heartfelt. They are the heart of the story is in the right place. They're written beautifully. Like issue 1 is completely flawless. Like I just could read cover to cover at least 3 times now. Maybe a
Oh.
bit more. S-
Thank you.
yeah, I've read it before, and I read it in preparation for the call today again.
Yeah.
Uh, they're good stories. The world is very rich. It has so many possibilities, and like Mark said earlier, there's this lore that you can explore beyond just the comic books as well. There's stories that you can be part of, and uh, because these stories are so rooted in reality, you can actually relate to these characters and uh, the things that they are going through, despite them having superpowers. That's what makes this book really.
Did that great.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I had to ask one thing.
Yeah.
I know you make a joke about the uniforms as well in the book.
Uh-huh.
She's when she says Annie says that she doesn't like the uniform.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it are they inspired by Demolition Man because they look like Demolition Man uniforms?
I did not. So the uniforms themselves, we let Ryan like go wild on them, and we had no notes for him. We didn't know what we wanted the uniforms to like, but it would not surprise me if Ryan got his inspiration from Demolition Man.
They are like a certain era because they look like like from the early 90s or like mid 90s, like Galaxy Quest
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's from that era, and it looks very much the part, and like it's fun to see that. I don't know if that joke was deliberate or not. Like that it seemed like in the like a meta joke on the uniforms.
I, I think it was a little bit of a meta joke inside of our team, and like I think we did have a little bit of dissent on whether we wanted to go forward with the uniforms like that. So yeah. Uh,
Cool. And yeah, I'll be more than happy to to come to you for the cons. With you on the cons. I am I am at the cons this year. I will be at GammaCon, which is gaming, which is a tabletop RPG gaming and Comic Con in Wollongong.
oh, that's
It's
cool.
called GAMMA Gamma, and there's one called Supernova, which is one of the biggest comic cons in Australia. So I get both.
I would have to do zero convincing to get Mary to go to Australia because she loves Australia. She actually did a study abroad in Australia during college, and I forget what it was. She went with like an international students organization, and they like planted like trees for koalas or something. But she's always really excited about anything Australia. So
That's amazing. If she
yeah.
wants to, most welcome, and we'll have incident report both the issues there and also midfall. So yeah,
Awesome, and thank you for doing that as well. Again, like it's so great to have some presence over there.
no worries. Awesome. Thanks a lot for tuning in today, and appreciate your time. And thanks a lot, Mark, for coming on the show. All the best for rest of your campaign.